Have you ever walked into a classroom and wondered why some students seem so restless, so overwhelmed? Today, we're tackling something really important: how specific classroom strategies can help autistic students focus better. And I'm joined by someone who knows this space inside and out. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. This is a topic I'm passionate about. Sensory processing disorder is incredibly common among individuals with autism spectrum disorder. Many of these students are dealing with sensory overload every single day in traditional classroom settings.
Right. And that's where sensory based interventions come in, correct? I mean, we're talking about creating environments that actually support how these students process the world around them.
Exactly. Sensory tools and activities are vital for helping autistic individuals manage their sensory experiences. Things like sensory boards, light tables, they provide a safe, controlled, and predictable space for hands-on engagement. That predictability can be calming and reduce sensory overload significantly.
So let's talk about light tables specifically. I've heard they're becoming popular in therapy settings. What makes them so effective?
Well, light tables offer hands-on opportunities to work with color, transparency, and movement. The illuminated surface makes objects more defined and engaging, which really helps with visual tracking and attention. I actually worked with a young student once who couldn't focus for more than 2 minutes. But put him at a light table with some translucent shapes, he was engaged for nearly half an hour.
Wow, that's remarkable. And these aren't just about keeping kids busy, right? There's real therapeutic value here.
Absolutely. Occupational therapists use light tables as interventions to develop fine motor skills, hand-eye coordination, and sensory integration. The tactile work, manipulating those translucent objects, supports cognitive growth and problem-solving skills. Plus, the focused nature of the activities helps students filter out extraneous stimuli, leading to improved concentration.
Makes sense. So we've established that sensory tools create these low distraction environments. But I'm curious, how do you actually design a sensory environment that works for different students?
That's the key question. Customization is essential because every autistic student has unique needs and preferences. Sensory solutions can integrate diverse components: textured materials, manipulatives, mirrors, visual stimuli to engage multiple senses simultaneously. You might have one student who responds well to tactile fabrics, while another needs more visual input.
So understanding the individual child is really the foundation here. I guess you could say it's like trying to find the right key for each lock, except the locks keep changing.
Ha, that's actually a pretty good way to put it. And that point about individualized approaches sets up our next piece: the practical side of implementing these tools in therapy centers. But first, a quick word from our sponsor.
Little People's Cove specializes in helping pediatric therapy centers create calming, engaging environments with commercial grade sensory solutions. Ideal for occupational therapy and early intervention, their solutions help therapists deliver meaningful, low distraction experiences that keep children regulated and actively participating. To learn more, visit littlepeoplescove.com.
Picking up on those individualized approaches, how do therapists and educators actually choose which sensory components to include in their settings?
Great question. It often comes down to observation and trial. Sensory boards, for example, can include things like buttons, zippers, locks, Velcro strips, even mirrors. These components help children practice fine motor skills and learn how to use household items, fostering independence. The sensory input from these tools can lead to improved behavior and facilitate social interactions among children.
Interesting.
Research actually suggests that engaging with sensory tools can lead to improved attention spans and reduced repetitive behaviors in children with ASD. In other words, when we give students the right sensory support, we see better focus and fewer distractions. Case studies in early intervention settings have shown positive outcomes in engagement and communication when these tools are integrated into therapy sessions.
That's powerful evidence. And I imagine for pediatric therapy centers, durability is a huge concern, right? These tools are getting used multiple times a day by different children.
Oh, definitely. Commercial-grade sensory solutions are designed for the rigorous demands of daily clinical use. They need to be durable, easy to clean, and able to withstand frequent use. That's essential for maintaining hygiene and ensuring the equipment lasts in busy therapy environments.
And light tables specifically, they're versatile too, aren't they? They can be used for different activities depending on the child's goals.
Absolutely. They can be used for tracing, drawing, working with textures and colors, making them incredibly versatile for individualized learning plans. The visual appeal often motivates students to engage in tasks that might otherwise be challenging, thereby improving their participation. Plus, they facilitate open ended play, allowing children to interact at their own pace and develop creativity.
So, to everyone listening, whether you're an occupational therapist, educator, or working in a pediatric therapy center, what's the first step in creating these supportive sensory environments?
Start with understanding your students' sensory profiles. What overwhelms them? What calms them? From there, you can build a space that includes the right mix of sensory components. The goal is creating environments where autistic students can maintain regulation, attentiveness, and active participation, whether in therapy sessions or classroom activities.
And those environments support visual discrimination skills, support sensory regulation, and help students develop skills they'll use throughout their lives.
Right. The use of these tools in therapy provides predictable and consistent sensory input, which is particularly beneficial for autistic children who thrive on routine and structure. They're really centered on creating spaces where they feel safe, engaged, and capable of learning.
This has been such an insightful conversation. Thank you for sharing your expertise and those real world examples. I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about in supporting autistic students in the classroom and therapy settings.
My pleasure. These strategies can make a real difference, and I hope more educators and therapists consider what sensory interventions can do for their students.